Hello everyone, we'll be starting soon when others join. Hello everyone, we'll be starting soon when others join. When others Yeah. Hello, everyone. I guess I'm audible, Ujjwal.
Yes, Nishant, audible.
Yeah. So, good evening, everyone. Today we have Miss Sakshi Sharma as our speaker today here. She is a currently software engineer at Microsoft, and she has interned at Microsoft in the summer of 2020 and received a pre-placement offer. She graduated from IIT Guwahati with a major in mathematics and computing. We are glad to have them as our speaker today. And if you guys have any queries, you can ask them in chat box, YouTube, live chat, and use your microphone. Yeah. So, Sakshi ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. I'll just go ahead and. I'm not able to share my screen actually. Can you check?
Nishant, can you give the authorization?
Sorry.
Authorization?
Actually, the link is not made by me. It's from Coding Ninjas only.
Kindly check if you can share now.
Yeah, I'm able to.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, let's get started. So yeah, hi everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining. And today we will go over how to crack Mang. Right. So before we get started, can you all let me know that which year and department you all are from? It will just help me to keep the pace of the session in a better manner. And before I get started, I'll also call out that please feel free to ask any questions that you feel like you have, or any topic that you want me to discuss, or any topic that you did not understand or just want me to elaborate on, right? I don't see anything in the Zoom chat. Are we also moderating somewhere else?
Yeah, might be on YouTube, but guys, please use the Zoom chat.
Yeah, you can use the Zoom chat. Yeah, I'm accessing that only. Okay, I see second year, first year. Okay, fine. Fine. Thank you. Thanks for the response. Okay, so yeah, before we get started, I have tried to enlist here all the data structures and algorithms that you have to know whenever you are appearing for. I mostly see a first year graduated. Most of the people are from first year, but yeah. So yeah, that you have to know whenever you are appearing for these coding tests or coding interviews, right? So one thing there I would like to call out. So I won't go into detail of all of these topics. If you want to take a note, you can take a note. But I just want to call out the last point, the time and space complexity. So whenever you're practicing, let's talk about sorting algorithms only, right? So there are so many sorting algorithms like bubble sort, merge sort, heap sort, right? Radix sort, counting sort. So let's talk about bubble sort only. So what happens is that after each iteration, the formation of the array is is changed, right? So the largest element, let's say we are talking about ascending order, the largest element comes at the top, right? And then the second largest element, like a bubble, it comes at the top. So some common questions are what the array would look like when when after each iteration, and then knowing the worst case, average case, best case, time complexities. And same goes for all of the data structures, right? So let's talk about priority queues only. So there are multiple functions like build a heapify function, and returning max or min based on max heap or min heap, right? So it is very important that you focus on, and for that there is one sure short theorem called as master theorem, but I would recommend that don't directly use it. Of course you can use it going ahead, but there are different more intuitive methods like recursion tree method, right? So try to use these methods and try to understand that how the time complexity is building up. So because if you don't know it for individual data structures, it is very important, it is very difficult to get it for the entire program, right? So Yeah. Then moving on, I'll so basically we'll go over this roadmap first, and then we will discuss other things like what things you have to take care of in resume, project, and like how to tackle a question in interview, right? And like yeah, so we'll go over the interview preparation part after this, and I'll take pauses. And you can also come off mute and ask any questions if you have. So yeah, having covered that, now let's go over DSN computer programming roadmap. This is very close to the roadmap that I have followed while I was preparing, but I have added some new things that have come up later on. So I started with coding the C++ DSA and foundation course. So there, the breadth and depth of topics, all the topics that I've mentioned in the previous slide, they have been like there was a very good coverage, and then there was video explanation for theory, problems, and even their solutions. And then there are like tests in each section, and then contests in events like these. And one more thing that I think that has really helped me was the TA support, right? So when sometimes that you are blocked, entirely blocked by like any problem, and like even if somebody responds to your query within minutes, then that would really unblock you for the entire day or entire problem, right? So I think that has really helped me. And then since a lot of people are from first year, I would like discuss this, that what language should we use. A lot of students are confused about the language that they want to use, right? So what I believe is that if you have not started yet, like you have not even you have no base yet, maybe you would want to look at C++ or Java. C++ was my primary language, but so what like from whatever I observed and known, these languages might be more also like better when you are grasping the object-oriented programming concepts. And but let's say you have already started, and let's say with Python or some other language you have already started, then it is okay, because what I've observed is also that these companies are mostly language agnostic. They don't care about which language you are coding in. And very rarely there will be a case that a particular coding test of a company did not have a particular language, which is very rare. Almost in all the tests you will have all of these languages as an option. And so if you already picked one, then it is okay. And anyway, for me, I have been exposed to a multitude of languages through projects. So some languages I had to learn, as in like look up for just for my projects, right? I did, like, if you're doing a Django based project in WebD, then you'll have to like come across Python anyway. So yeah, you can just get exposed to these through projects or some internships, but you can choose this one language as your primary language and like do DSA in that. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. And then moving on to the next part, which is like then I moved on to other coding platforms. So other coding platforms, here also like to have like a broader coverage of questions. Here also some things I can suggest that first thing is that it is okay when you're, especially when you're starting off, you will not get approaches to questions properly, right? You will not understand that what, like, even if you know that this question belongs to this particular bucket of topic, still you might not be able to understand that how to approach that question. So that is okay. For the initial few ones, you can go ahead and read the explanation and everything, take hints. And then one more thing that you can follow is that the list that I have mentioned before, right? So whenever you are practicing, there will be some, of course, there will be some basic data structures, but there will also be some ad hoc algorithms like, let's say, sliding window approach or two heap method, right? So you can just note them down, and whenever you are practicing, you can actually just go one by one over them and see that, okay, does this approach might work for this problem? Because it might not hit you like instantly. So if you go over the list one by one, you can just check that, okay. And then after you have practiced enough, it will start intuitively hitting you that, okay, this, if this is the question, this should be the approach that should work, right? And then one more thing that I would like to mention is that these platforms would have something called as discuss forum. Like, different platforms will have different names, where other people like more experienced or like your peers would like post their solutions, right? So try to go through them. You will, more often than not, you will find optimal solutions. You will find like more optimal than yours, or you just some different approach, right? So even if you're doing like 3, and don't stop there, like code that problem as well, the entire code of that as well. So it is okay. Like, on a particular platform, mostly brute force solution will also get accepted, but you don't have to stop there. You have to go ahead and like read these approaches as well, and then code them and get them accepted as well. Because in your interview, it is like your chances become sure shot only, mostly that apart from the other factors, if you have like given them an optimal solution and like are able to complete it, then that like really increases your chances. And if you're doing like even 3 approaches to one problem, then it is just increasing the way you can tackle more questions, right? So I think that is like one thing that you can follow while practicing. And then there are consistency challenges. They have multiple like some call it streaks, coins, or some like different ways of calling it, but it is just that you have to do like some amount of problems, mostly one problem, but you can also make it five problem daily. So even if you do like for 1 month, it will be 150 problem, which is like a good number, right? So try to keep it consistent also. And then there is also one more thing called as autofill IDs. So some of these platforms have autofill IDs. That means that they'll give you suggestion to when you're initializing a priority queue, they'll just write the syntax entirely for you. So at least when you're starting off, you can maybe try to avoid it, because in many of the interviews you will have to code on a Word document or on a Google Doc, right? So there, if you are not well versed with this and you have not practiced enough, you don't have the muscle memory of the syntax, you will be very much confused. I'm not saying that your offer or not offer depends on whether you can initialize a min heap or max heap or not, but it really, like, if you're actually like if it's a free flowing thing for you, then it actually shows that you have practiced enough, and that is always a better thing to do, right? So yeah, these are some things that you can follow here. And then next I moved on to the coding in this computer programming course. So there it was like a revision of DSA for me, all the topics, and then some advanced topics like segment tree, Fenwick tree, tries, and since although they are considered a bit on the computer programming side, but they are very much being asked even in mainstream companies now, right? The only thing with them is that they have a very niche sort of problems that they solve. So for segment tree, let's say it is like a range update or query problem. So whenever you see a problem like that, it should ring a bell that segment tree might be able to help me. So yeah, so it's a very niche set of problems. So and then they have a very set format, you can say, like there will be a build tree function, update function, query function. So and the structure also is very like similar. So it is like, yeah, you just have to grasp that, understand that, and from there it should be like okay. So yeah, and then moving on, and of course after you have done considerable practice, at least some questions from each bucket, you can move on to contests. So contests, first thing is like, of course they are like a very good simulation of the coding test. They give you the like questions in a time manner. They will also help you understand that where you stand among your peers who are also applying for similar roles. And then one more thing is that it also gives you this practice of being able to understand that if I give you a random question, you are able to figure out that which topic it is from, right? So and then you go ahead and and then breaking down the word problem. So even in this contest, it will be very much similar to the problems that are given in an interview, which will be word problems. So you will have to like read the entire paragraph, and then from the word problem you have to make out that what is the crux of the question. So it might be that just you read the entire problem and it happens to be some variant of, let's say, n queen problem, right? So you just have to figure that out, and then if you practice n queen, then that modification will be building on top of that. So yeah, that was this example. And like because of all these reasons, you should always attempt like good amount of contests. Then the next thing is a new feature that has come up more recently than the other ones, is the code studio feature of Coding Ninja. So here you can find interview experiences of companies, company tag questions, company specific guidance paths. And now, why is this important? So it is okay that you have practiced a good amount of questions and you have a good hold, but closer to the interview, it is very much important that you go for company specific prep, because although all these companies are extending a similar role, which is a SD role or software engineer role, but there's a very like they might have very different approaches in their interviewing, right? So first thing is that some companies might focus more on DSA, some companies might focus more on culture fit behavioral questions, some companies might focus more on computer science fundamentals or oops concepts, right? So it is very much varied. And and also these companies also tend to like ask similar questions while they're hiring, right? So like if they're hiring currently, they might ask similar questions to all the candidates who are currently interviewing in the pool. So it always helps to go through the company specific questions like closer to the interview. And then the last step is HR or the behavioral round. So for this, you can read about the company on their website and internet. These companies are very much open and very much active on their social medias, and they keep posting about their acquisitions, their investments, and like any mergers or anything. You can read about them, their mission statement, mission values, everything is also present. So and also other thing would be like preparing behavioral questions. So behavioral questions are questions like that show that how culturally fit you are for the company. How would you like work in a team, right? So questions could be like, tell me about a time when you had a deadline and you could not meet it, when you had a failure, and how did you overcome. So rather than on the failure, you can focus more on the how did you overcome part, right? And then the thing is that there could be one more question that tell me about a time when you had like a conflict with a colleague and how did you deal with it. Like for your project, you had a difference of opinions in the approaches, and then how did you decide on the final approach, right? So that these are some examples, and always have some questions to ask at the end. This could be your opportunity to show your genuine interest in the company. And you can pick questions from your research, whatever you did for the company, or you could also pick questions from maybe the interviewer would have introduced themselves at the beginning, right? So you can pick questions from there. It also shows that you were attentively listening to them. So that is so these are some examples, right? Okay, so before I move on to the next module that I'm going to discuss, which is about interview preparation, do we have any questions? I think I have one question in the chat. I've taken Python course with DS, and whenever I do question on DS, I'm not able to do so. I'm learning machine learning, so I can get good placement on behalf of machine learning. Okay, so I mean, okay. I mean, yeah, you can do a mixture of machine learning projects and DSA. So yeah, that should be okay. If there's any other specific question, then please post it in the chat. And guys, yeah, if there are any other questions before we move on to the next module, you can also come off mute and share your queries. And if not, then you can always post them in the chat. I'll be very happy to answer those. Okay, if there are no questions, we'll move on to the next part. So yeah, now we'll move on to the second part, which is interview preparation. So we'll discuss about what key concepts you need to understand: resume, projects, internships, how to apply, all of these. We'll also talk about X factor as in like some things that are not really mentioned in all of these. Like I have not seen it mentioned in a lot of places, but if you do it, if you follow it, then like yeah, these are like some good qualities that you can follow, and you'll get an edge over other candidates, right? So yeah, talking about key concepts. So first thing, like I discussed, has to be data sets and algorithms. Then then computer science fundamentals. So computer science fundamentals for me, they were not covered till the internship season. So they were I was not asked questions based on that, but for placement interviews, you will have to like understand these. So operating systems, networks, and database management, these are 3 topics which come under computer science fundamentals. Then object-oriented programming concepts, also called as oops concepts, so they will be also coming up even for internships. This was also covered in the DSC Foundation course of coding that I talked about. So yeah, I did it. I learned them. And then if you're planning for some a role in a fintech company, like it's a finance plus tech company, so let's say companies like Goldman Sachs, JPMC, so there you might as well be asked mathematical puzzles, quantitative aptitude questions, just to know how good you are with numbers. So, and then the last thing is system design. So at least for domestic roles, for university grads, I have not seen a dedicated system design round. They might ask you indirectly like the same problem, the same data structure problem that they are mentioning, they'll just ask it to scale it to like higher level. So let's say if it was a string based problem, then they'll say, okay, what if the string has like a length of like a very large number, million or like crores, right? So and then it does not fit into the memory. So what we'll do is that we'll do batch processing of it. So yeah, these are some things that and then how will you scale your solution, right? So these might be asked indirectly in your DSA rounds. And but for international roles, I have seen like a few companies have a dedicated system design round. But what I would suggest is that it is okay if you don't prepare it from day one. At least DSA and computer science fundamentals and OOPS, everything you can prepare from day one. But mathematical puzzles and these are like company or round specific, right? So you can prepare them closer to the interview. And anyway, a lot of system design is not expected from freshers, so you can also like prepare it closer to the interview. So that would be my suggestion. Yeah, so the next thing is on resume. So whenever you are applying, the first thing will be a resume shortlisting stage, right? So here you have to provide suitable projects and internships, extracurriculars, PORs. PORs is positions of responsibility, so that you might have taken in college. So we'll also go over that, how important and how you can mention extracurriculars and PORs in the most effective manner. Then technical skills that you have, courses, achievements, education details. If you have a good CGPA, please do mention that, and you can also like mark it or highlight it. Then contact details, and contact details, of course, you'll provide your phone contact, everything, and your LinkedIn, GitHub. One thing that I can add here is that you can so there are a lot of open source portfolios, personal portfolio templates available on GitHub if you go and see. So you can just clone them and edit your information, plug your information, and deploy it somewhere, and you can use it as a visual portfolio. So how it also helps the recruiter is that they can go over your profile more quickly, right? So yeah, so you can deploy that and add that also, that personal GitHub, you can deploy on Heroku or GitHub pages, whatever you feel comfortable, or other platform also if you find it. And then it just like gives you an edge, because it makes it easier for the recruiter to go over your credentials in a better manner, in a visual manner, and a faster manner, right? And always also keep your resume concise, easy to read and scan, because recruiters have a very less time to go over like per resume. And also the thing is that your resume might not also just directly reach a recruiter, especially when you're applying to big companies. There is this thing called as ATS, which is an automatic scanner. So there it's like a AI ML model, you can say, and it just tries to find the coherence between your resume and the job description. So it would be very good if you could go through the job description and try to take words or terms from there and try to put it into the resume. So let's say if if your job description says that it would be preferred if you are good in C++, so you can add C++ as a technical skill, right? And then yeah, so these are some things. And then use power verbs. So if you go on internet search and search power verbs for resume, you will find words like implemented, developed, selected, qualified, right? The words that add impact. And start your sentences from these words only. And then add metrics to quantify impact. So you can add metrics in projects, of course. Let's say you did some ML project, right? So you can add the accuracy percentage there. You can add metrics in extracurriculars and PORs also. Extracurriculars, let's say you were in POR, let's say you were some head of, like, you led a team of 30 people to conduct a fest of 10K footfall or 50K footfall, right? So yeah, these are some way that you can achievements. In achievements, you'll of course you provide some rank or some selected, got selected to the final round, something like that, right? So yeah, all these metrics you can provide to quantify your impact. And then highlight the key points, highlight the tech stack, highlight these, whatever important information you're providing, highlight that, right? So yeah, these are some points that you can take care of in your resume. Then moving on from that, we move on to projects. So projects, there are a variety of fields that you can explore. Fields like web development, machine learning, data analytics, Android development, iOS development, right? Both of them are part of mobile development. So a variety of tech stack. We won't go into details of like each tech stack, but what we'll go over is that what questions to keep in mind when you are making these projects, and like what questions you can expect based on projects. So of course, they will expect you to know the structure of the folders, right? Where are the front end files, where is the back end file, what is the database that is used, and how it is connected and everything. So if you have made the project on your own, you will certainly know all these details. What they will not mostly ask is that, like, function wise, like, okay, what does this variable do, can you like show your code? And mostly I have never seen like show your code and like tell me what does this function do. They might ask you abstract, like on an Uber level, that what are the main functions and what do they do, but not like line by line. So what matters more here is that you know things like what is the purpose of your project. So if your project solves some real life issue, then that really adds to the like impact of the project. I'll give you an example. So from my college, a bunch of people made these attendance tracking apps. So attendance is such a, like, it's a very omnipresent issue among students. So it really helped these students to track their attendance, and then right, so that actually got some daily active, monthly active users. So that is a really good impact. So you should know that what is the purpose of your project. If it solves some real life business issue, then that is really great. And then let's say about web development only, you will have a multitude of tech stack. You can use mean stack, mon stack, Django, Flask, right? So you should know that why this particular tech stack you've chosen and not the other one. In software engineering, you will always have this trade-off to make, that you can, like, you'll have 10 options to do the same thing, and then you will see that which option fits your needs the best and go ahead with that. So you should know that the trade-off between these tech stack, the difference, and then why did you choose this one and not the other one. Then what were the problems faced when you were making, and how did you overcome them. Maybe you were building with this tech stack for the first time, and then maybe like you had never deployed a project before, so this was the first time you were doing it. Or like I said, one problem was that you had a conflict with one of your teammates on how to go about a feature, and then how did you overcome that, right? How did you come to a consensus? So these could be some examples of problems that you faced. Then what improvements or optimizations can you make when you are also. So I would also recommend, like, first of all, learn version control. The most common tech stack right now is Git and GitHub. So maintain a proper Git history of your project. Add like feature by feature Git history, commit history, and then add a documentation proper. In documentation, you can mention things like how to locally set your project. You can also deploy a project, like I said, your personal portfolio, right? Similarly, you can also deploy your project somewhere and add the link there. So how it helps is, rather than writing in text that, okay, my project does so and so thing and developed a website to do so and so, what if I actually just go to your website and I'm able to see that it is live and it is like I can see what it looks like, right? So it is much better than writing it in a textual manner that, okay, that this is what it does, right? So always try to deploy and add the link in the documentation. And then and these improvements, optimization also, if you have thought on your own, you can add them in the documentation that, okay, my project is in progress and these are some optimization or improvements that I'm thinking of. If not, then the interviewer might tell you that, okay, from their side, that this is a thing, like some improvement that I'm asking you to do. How will you do it? What code changes you will have to do, what moves, what files you'll have to move, and what extra tech stack also maybe you have to use, right? So those things you should know. So yeah, that is that is what you can keep in mind for projects. Before we move on to like how you can apply for internships, again, I'll pause for a bit. Are there any questions? I'm not able to monitor the YouTube chat, so if there's any question there, you can just copy paste. Maybe the moderators can copy paste them there. If not, you can directly post them in the Zoom chat. I see one question. I'm not very good at DSA, so how can you improve my logic in DSA? So sometimes I'm not able to approach questions. Yeah. So like I mentioned, right? So I think only way to go is practice. Once you start practicing a large number of questions, one more tip that I give is that whatever concepts you come across, write them, and then given a new question, go through those concepts and like one by one check that does it fit in any of the buckets by any chance, right? So that was the one thing. And when you have done that for enough times, you will start like getting these patterns. So I was coming to the patterns thing later on, but maybe I could discuss it here itself. So let's say if the question mentions that the order it's a vector, and the order in which you return the answer does not matter. So when we say the order does not matter, so it means that we can shuffle it, right? So, and what would be the most optimal shuffling? It has to be sorting. So you can think of something like, okay, we can sort the array, and if that is already sorted, let's say, then you can think of approaches like binary search, right? And then if the question has a keyword that print all valid combination or return all valid combination, so it might be a backtracking question or a DP question, right? So yeah, these are some things that you like, just look for these keywords or these hints and pick up from there. Okay. Can we take the project or the jobs while we are still studying and learning the language? Yeah, I think it is very difficult to learn the entire language like in one go. Of course, even like when we're practicing, you'll have to multiple times. Even if you like lose practice for some time, you will forget the priority queue initialization. So of course, you should have like basic knowledge is required. At least you should know how to initialize and how what each data structure is and what it does. That is, before that you cannot take up full-fledged projects at least. But at least in one language. But if you are building something with an entirely new language, so it is okay to like learn the language on the go. So as you see that, okay, now I would need a list, you can just search, okay, how to initialize a list in Python and then like directly use it. So it is okay, but at least one language you should know all the data structures in before you get get into like a full-fledged project. Okay. What is the job role at Microsoft Research Intern? So I was not a research intern, I was a software engineer intern. So I mean, I might not be completely aware, but you would be working with like supporting technology for Microsoft, right? So whatever research is going on with Microsoft, maybe let's say in the community service or in the, let's talk about Cortana only. So Cortana is ML AI based, right? So for that we need some NLP models. So there would be some research going on that how we can enhance those models and how we can make Cortana more responsive and like reply to us in a better way. So all that, right? So whatever research based stuff is going on, you will be like in one of those teams, working with one of those teams. So yeah, that should be it. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so I think we can